At this time, I would like to introduce Jeff Birkel. That's Jeff in the middle there of his two sons, Mike and Matt. And in front of Jeff is his custom race chair, and they are your Team ALS teammates. They are part of this record-breaking year, and they're taking a few minutes tonight to share a little bit more about their story. And it's always nice to get to know your teammates, and we're very, very excited to hear from Jeff and Mike, and I think Matt's here too. So
Yep.
we'll let you guys take it away.
Okay, well, I'm the dad, and I'm the one that has ALS. So I asked my boys to do most of the talking, but if they leave out a detail, I'm going to butt in. But Sarah had asked us to tell our story, and I'll just start off right now. Is we're currently focused on participating in the Boston Marathon, but the boys will tell you how that came about.
Matt, you want to start?
Yeah. We don't have any specific like presentation or anything. We're just here to kind of talk and share our story as, one that I think is hopefully, heartwarming, motivational type story for everyone on this call, especially, given that that we're all here fundraising for ALS together. Our dad, Jeff, on the call here, was diagnosed with ALS in December of 2023. And, it's not news that anyone really wants to hear. We had, prior to all of this, we had been runners for a long time. Dad started running in his late 30s. He ran multiple marathons and really kind of inspired Mikey and I to start running as kids. And so we ran. And so we've done other fun running type adventures and just in general sort of outdoor enthusiasts. I think probably our capstone adventure that we had done prior to this Boston and Chicago marathon attempt was we ran across the Grand Canyon together, rim to rim. So when Dad got his diagnosis, after you kind of get over that first emotional hurdle of accepting and then thinking, okay, well, what can we do now? What can we do next? Father's Day was approaching, and I talked to Mikey and said, oh, hey, we were actually coming back to our hometown in Central Illinois to run another race. It's a 4-mile race. And it happens every year, and we like to come back for it because we also get to reunite with some of our other high school running teammates, and then all three of us, do it together. And sometimes our sister Katie also joins. She's not like a hardcore runner like us, but she'll still come and do it for fun. And so we were already planning on coming back for a running activity.
Matt, I thought you were coming back because it was Father's Day weekend.
Yes, but we wanted to do Steamboat with you. So I said to Mikey, I didn't even really know what the requirements would be or what the process would be. But yeah, I just texted him during the workday while I was eating lunch, and I was like, hey, what do you think about trying to go back to Boston? We had run it in Mikey and I had run it in 2023. Dad ran it in what, 06, 05?
05, yeah.
Yeah, and so Mikey was like, yeah, let's do this. So we talked to Dad and on the weekend, and we told him, the idea, and it was very exciting. So it's been a big journey to get qualified. So the name of this division is called Duo Team, where it's one person who is handicapped and is in a racing wheelchair, and there's one person pushing the riders. There's one pusher and one rider. And so, well, the first complication was all three of us wanted to do it together. And so that means that one person has to run solo and one person pushes Dad. And so then we were trying to figure out how we would do this and how we would get into Boston. Boston's got qualification requirements, et cetera. And on top of all of this, you don't you don't really know when you're going to get an ALS diagnosis. So Mikey and I weren't really in marathon shape at the time, and so qualifying for Boston would have been in such short order was already pretty difficult. So in the end, we looked at the charity program because the hurdle to qualify outright, just even as a duo team, Boston has its own requirements, and the requirement is essentially whoever the pusher is, yeah, whatever their normal qualifying time would be, yeah, you have to run the exact same time, but you have to do it while pushing someone. There's no like leeway or additional time that you get for pushing someone. So for Mikey and I, who are, you know, young men, we just have to run like a 2:55 while pushing dad to qualify for Boston. So that was like, okay, we can't. There's no way we're going to be doing that when we only have like 10 weeks to train. So we looked at the charity program, and that's how we got our entry into the Boston Marathon. But yeah, it was a real adventure. We had to also figure out how to get a racing push chair. I was contacting so I'm in Wisconsin, and there's another charity in Wisconsin that lends out racing push chairs. And then in the end, Dad, you somehow got a hold of the manufacturer and told them, oh, hey, this is what we're trying to do, but we have to qualify. So even to get into the chair program at Boston, you still have to run a qualifying time. It's much more generous than the outright qualifying time. But we still had this deadline, and we didn't have a chair, and we didn't know where we were going to get a chair. And so in the end, Dad, you talked to the manufacturer, which is Adaptive Star, and they're pretty much the only manufacturer in the US that makes these chairs because it's a very niche thing. Yeah, and they heard our story, and they were like, oh, okay, we're gonna slot you in. We're gonna produce an extra chair, and we'll get it delivered to you in time. So they shipped the chair, and Mikey, you and Dad had some practice runs with the chair, right? Because we were,
Yeah,
weren't really sure what it'd be like.
I was
Yeah.
because I live in Minneapolis. Dad is in Peoria, Matt's in Madison, so we're not all living in the same place. And so this chair arrives, and they ship it to my house. I put it together, put all the wheels on, and then I'm practicing with it with my wife as a practice person, right? And so it's really funny because, you know, if you guys are runners, when you're running down the sidewalk and there's like a car that's gonna cross in front of you, they usually just cut you off. But when you have this thing out and it's bright orange that you guys saw in the picture, they definitely stop and gawk and wait for you. So it was a bit awkward at first to use it. But then Dad did come up, and we did a trial half marathon with it. That went pretty well though. And then yeah, we took this thing, to continue from what Matt was saying, we took this thing to the Nebraska State Fair Marathon and qualified. That was our qualification race. Completed that, and then since then we've just kind of been like coasting until Boston. Now it's like,
Now let me interject, Mike. You know, I was there with you at the Nebraska State Fair Marathon, and we were having a good chat until about mile 21. And then all I heard was heavy breathing and Mike grunting every time he had to turn the chair. And I have to admit, I felt a little guilty, but he got through to the end, and he actually ran pushing me 3:45.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
we were very happy that so we contacted the organizers ahead of time of the Nebraska State Fair Marathon, also because we wanted to make sure that the race that we ran was officially registered, submitted, etc., as a duo team. Because if we didn't get the official time submitted in the databases, then when Boston went to look it up, they might say, oh, well, you aren't in the race database as a duo team. So we contacted, and just from talking to other folks, they said, yeah, if you're going to try and do this, don't just show up on race day without talking to the event organizers, because they're going to want to know. They're probably going to want to start you earlier. Oh wait, I forgot where I was going with this. Oh yeah,
well,
so we were talking to them, and she was like, "Oh, this is great. We're one of the flattest marathons. You're gonna love this for the chair. It's gonna be great. You won't have to push up any hills." So that I think was pretty true. Although one factor we didn't think about as much was that the push chair doesn't steer. The front wheel doesn't turn left or right, and so to turn it, the pusher has to push down on the back so that it lifts the front wheel up, and then you can pivot it about the back 2 wheels, and then you put it back down. And so every time you turn, you have to go and turn and douche. And so when
Yeah.
Dad's talking about Mikey going like heaving, because the course, while it was very flat, did
Lot
have
of
a good number of
turns.
turns.
Lot of turns. Lot of turns. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
was a good
Anyway,
race though. The deal
it
that I
worked
made for
out.
Dad was if I do this for him, he has to buy me a corn dog at the state fair after. They get our corn dog in the 90-degree Nebraska heat.
Yeah. Yeah, I paid up. We have a picture of you eating your corn dog. So anyway, we created a foundation to begin our fundraising immediately after the Nebraska qualifying marathon because it's really hard to get a bib for Boston. They only have 12 ALS slots, and they had like 80 people apply. So we felt if we came to them with a pile of money in our pocket, that would help convince them. So we formed the boys are training their butts off in short order, and I took the time to form a 501c nonprofit, and that way we could do a fundraising, and we were able to raise $20,000 before the November 1st job interview, so to speak. And that was good enough to get us in because I think they had 11 runners last year and they raised about $200,000 from just the 11 runners. So we needed to be close to the average, I suppose. So that was exciting for me because I'm a retired Caterpillar technical manager, and that was kind of like management work. So I felt like I was contributing to the effort. And by the way, we've got about that much raised, Sarah, for the Chicago Marathon. Not quite. We're waiting for some corporate matches to come in, and I think that'll bump up our total. I just not sure how to get that chunk put into the donation site, everybody has, but we'll figure that out.
Yes, Jeff, and I did share, it's jeffreybirkel.org, right?
Yeah.
The website.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I
yeah,
put that in
that's
the chat. If anybody can, see, and then it tells more of their story and you can see the fundraising they've done, and it's amazing.
the
yeah.
boys are having fun. If you get on that site, I think they have their links. About once a week, they post a training video. And this last week, Matt had a little fun. It wasn't him running, it was him showing his worn out running shoes. So I would suggest you go watch that one. It's not something I scolded him because, I'm a distance runner and he knows better. So go watch it to find out why Dad was mad at him.
I'll preface it also by saying that those shoes were not being worn during aggressive marathon training. They were worn during a very relaxed period of running throughout the second half of last year when I wasn't training for any specific races. But yeah, listen to Coach Brendan. Don't listen to don't do what I did on my video.
No.
But
You guys should all go watch it though. It's pretty funny.
yeah, so just I mean, I guess kind of in general on that mark too, or that sort of like in that vein. Yeah, it's been kind of a fun way to share our experience as well. Sarah, I know you were talking about ways to sort of get the word out to your friends and family and whatnot. So yeah, it's very much home videos. Like we have a phone and we're either out on a run or we just got back from a run or yeah. Yeah, like it's just, it's nice because people, I think when they see that video, they start to think, oh, like this is an adventure. I want to be a part of it. So we're kind of using that to share our story. And it's also nice for your donors because people want to follow along, right? And hear how it went and see how it's going. So
I love that too, Matt, and that's a great idea. You know, an example that you're setting, but for everyone, you know, that's another way to, yeah, tell your story and bring them along on your training run, or yeah, make those videos right after. So
Yeah, yeah, it's all short stuff. It's like, you know, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels, whatever is your preferred platform. We're just spamming posts out to all of them. Well, not TikTok, because when we started doing this, I couldn't download the app. Um, but
everything
apparently
else.
now you can re-download the app, but I didn't want to go back and repost everything. So
Yeah, I
Um,
posted the
Anyway.
Facebook link for those who want to see it, but there's also an Instagram that matches up. It's the same thing, and then we do have a YouTube. Yeah, yeah. Feel free to follow those if you guys want to see our training for Boston. I'm sure we'll probably continue it as we come into the Chicago Marathon timing. But yeah, I mean, we're to kind of segue on from what Matt's been saying, like we're out here kind of to show people who have ALS that that's not like your diagnosis is not the last step of like what you can do in your life. We don't want our dad to just sit at home and do nothing, right? Like it's really easy to just get into the trap of just like being alone at home. And so we're doing this, to show him and other people that like you can still enjoy your life, right? Like he was a runner his whole life. He taught me and my brother to run when we were younger than 10 years old. We've been doing it for 2 decades or more now. And so it's like we're not going to stop trying to live our life with dad just because he got ALS. Eventually we'll get to a point where that gets harder and harder. But like while you're in that transition, you can still live your life, right? And the more you can do in your life with ALS, I think the better the disease is going to be for you as well. So I don't know how many of you guys have loved ones who have ALS or know other people who have that diagnosis, but it's I think it's really important for those people to go out there and support them that way, right? And to bring new things into their life or continue doing whatever they have, like that sense of normalcy really does help. And I'm sure,
Yeah.
Dad, you can speak to that, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm very grateful, and it's, it gives me, like focus and direction in my life. So kind of, it doesn't exactly take your mind off your disease because we're doing this because of the disease, but, and, there's a lot of good coming out of it, and initial diagnosis is bad. But the fact that we're trying to make lemonade out of lemons and have a lot of fun doing it makes all the difference in the world to your attitude. I'm not happy I got ALS, but it's not all bad. We wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have it. So we're trying to have a positive attitude, and I'm very grateful for my boys and the gift they're giving me here.
I love that, Jeff and Matt and Mike. And I don't know if you guys have been seeing all the comments in the chat, but I think that it's very obvious that you guys are, choosing joy and your beautiful attitudes, and that you're gonna complete 2 majors this year. So we are rooting for you guys next month when you're in Boston. You'll feel all of Team ALS Chicago propelling you along. And then I know that Team ALS will be honored and excited to be on the streets of Chicago with you guys in October. So
Be
thank
good.
you guys so much
Thank you,
for
Sarah.
yeah,
being part
thank
of the
you.
team and for sharing your stories with us. So yes, and hopefully you feel the love from Team ALS, because there's lots of it there.